down the middle of the big house for the feast I was at was loaded with food from the ocean, food you can't find in a grocery store. There were chitons, sea cucumbers, smoked sea lion, and seaweed. The seaweed was really good. I asked around, wanting to see if I could buy some to take some home. The next morning, a woman comes up to me with a giant bag. She gifts it to me. She won't let me pay for it, but in return she says, I can help them stop the tankers. So I joined with all of you, and here we are 6 years later. After so many rallies, so many petitions, so many of you probably spoke to the Joint Review Panel. After municipal resolutions, shareholder engagement, union opposition, after conversations on doorsteps, such an outpouring of creativity and concern. Even the BC government has said that they are opposed to this pipeline. And now the new Premier of Alberta has acknowledged the wall of opposition that faces Enbridge in BC.
Oh yeah, that's us, everybody.
But no means no, right? And yet, the day after the Alberta election, the CEO of Enbridge was quoted as saying that they're going to keep pushing forward and they think they can bring the new Premier Notley on side. No one ever said that stopping Enbridge was going to be easy. And now we have Kinder Morgan on our doorstep as well, and Shell heading to the Arctic. We're up against a global oil industry with deep pockets and a pipeline-pushing federal government. We're seeing what decisions made on oil look like. They look like muzzling scientists and gutting environmental laws and limiting public participation in the issues that directly affect us. It looks like systemic racism, a total lack of caring for either the land or the people. It looks like an unacceptable disregard for missing and murdered Indigenous women. It looks like those who speak up for an oil-free coast being spied on, called terrorists and anti-petroleum extremists. It looks like a disproportionate auditing of environmental charities, including Sierra Club, where I work. But now is not the time to give up or be intimidated. There is far too much at stake. I'm here today so that First Nations can govern their lands and waters as they have done for thousands of years. I'm here today for a future with spirit bears and salmon, where we can still pull dinner from the ocean. And I'm here so that we can give ourselves a fighting chance to adapt to and survive a changing climate. Big oil is not used to taking no for an answer. Enbridge has not backed down yet. Neither has the federal government, but neither have we. One year after the federal government gave the green light to the Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline and Tankers project, I can tell you that the opposition is as strong and determined as ever and growing. Just look at how quickly Tim Hortons dropped their Enbridge ads in the face of thousands of us asking them to drop them.
Money.
Immediately after the federal approval, First Nations went to court to overturn the federal decision. The Gitgat, Githatla, Heiltsuk, Haida, Kitasoo Hehe, Nadli Wooden, and Nakadzli nations have the power to stop this project in the courts, and they are not standing alone. Last spring, a community group in Terrace organized a spaghetti dinner in Terrace to raise money to support the First Nation legal challenges. They raised $2,000 and then they challenged the rest of us to step up and get involved. So Sierra Club BC reached out to Raven. Together we launched Pull Together as a way for British Columbians to support the First Nations legal challenges through online donations and through organizing community solidarity events. Pull Together is demonstrating the beauty and the strength of standing together. Amazingly, thanks to probably many of you, we've already raised over $400,000. From Prince George to Penticton, Nanaimo to Fort St. James, volunteers have organized film nights and music concerts, theater performances, and even smoothie sales at yoga studios, in church congregations, community halls, university campuses, and so many more places. Over 100 local businesses are involved. Many farmers are donating their hard-earned dollars to Pull Together through the summer because they recognize that we all depend on the land and the water. Denman Island Chocolate has launched a pulled-together chocolate bar with proceeds going to the First Nations. You can buy them over there with the slogan, "Who knew stopping a pipeline could be so delicious?" These businesses understand that tar sands pipelines are not good for our economy. Local businesses are a different story. If we play our cards right as we transition to a low-carbon future, we can replace big corporate ownership with diverse and resilient local economies that are more just and democratic, that are grounded in ecological limits, and that respect First Nations. You know, farmers work hard, and some of my farmer friends are telling me this year that they might face crop losses because there's been so little rain. And yet these farmers are stepping forward and offering their proceeds to pull together through the summer. This is what solidarity looks like. Over the last few weeks, we've heard a lot about our troubled history with First Nations and the need for reconciliation with the First Peoples of this land. It can feel hard to know where to begin. And sometimes when we try to be an ally, sometimes we mess up. You know, it's those of us who are newcomers to this land, it's really not up to us to decide if we're being good allies or not. All we can do is try, keep trying, apologize when we make mistakes, listen and learn, and keep trying some more. And here's the thing. Well, first of all, what I know for sure is that the court cases against Enbridge are extremely expensive, and we all stand to benefit from the outcome. And so it doesn't seem right that these First Nations should be left to shoulder the burden alone. Reconciliation is not just about standing with First Nations and supporting them to have their voices heard. It also means standing behind and following their lead. It means making changes in our own lives. And so Pull Together is an opportunity to donate for those who can, and for others to offer up their time and energy to organize community solidarity events that take us one step farther along that journey of reconciliation. So as I mentioned, we're marking the 1-year anniversary of the federal approval with the Week to End Enbridge. It starts now, it starts here today. Starting today until June 21st, there are dozens of events being organized all across the province to fundraise for these First Nation legal challenges. There's too many to list here, but just to give a sample, there's going to be a community day